Hello and welcome to this moment that I'm going to share with David, who has been with us for almost 2 years and has been an amazing star student. You know, the ones that you feel like, oh my God, I'm so happy to work with you. I'm just so excited to support you. That's David. Welcome, David, to this time together. Can you present a bit about yourself? Who are you? Who is David Blum? Who's Crazy Dave?
Thank you, Daria, first of all, for that wonderful, warm words. To put it in a nutshell, I have started my coaching business around 5 years ago, starting with one-on-ones. And the moment I met you, I remember I was very overwhelmed basically by my initial success of having clients, but then losing control over my own business basically. Today I'm not only doing one-on-one sessions, maybe some of them VIP, but basically I created a group coaching program accompanied by digital programs, and I help so-called scanners, personality types with so many options and ideas to figure out what they actually really want in life, and to find a systemic approach that really fits them in life, and to just get out the joy and the wonder of life, and go out of that chaos that you sometimes feel innerly and outside of yourself as well. And a little bit about myself. I'm just a guy who loves to have freedom, basically, to live a lifestyle that really fits him. I was back in the days, I was working corporate world and felt very basically in a prison, and so I created my own business that accompanies the lifestyle of my dreams. And now I work from Spain, from the United States, from Germany, and I have so much more time for things I really love, for being with my family, my girlfriend, my friends, plus also accompanying more than just one-on-one clients. And you have been a big part of this. Thanks to you, I could actually free that visionary of mine.
Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you. And the what you mentioned about freedom is one of the core ideas that we have in our in our company when it comes to being able to free the visionary, being able to step into who you truly are. And you mentioned the overwhelm, going from that overwhelm and actually saying like it's not negotiable. Freedom is not negotiable for you. Being in the US, being in Germany, being in Spain, it's part of you, it's part of your creation. So it's not about either if, it's both. It's all in, and it's on your own needs and on your own personality type and conditions. So yeah, I love
Yes.
that you mentioned that already. I'm liking the conversation that where we're going already with this.
Yeah.
So tell me, the moment you met us, you said that you felt a bit overwhelmed and you joined our group programs first, but I know that you transitioned into VIP with us, the 6 months VIP program. And I'd love to hear your thought on why did you decide to move over to one-on-one? When was that moment when you felt, okay, I feel like now I'm ready? And why?
Well, there were two parts of it. One thing that I was really interested is getting to know from you one-on-one how you realized the structure that I was aiming for, because I always fell into the same patterns of being chaotic, of trying to fix things, of basically being my cheapest or my most expensive employee, because I was doing all the administrative stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was really interested in how you realize the structure that actually can set me free of the inner chaos in me, basically.
Yeah.
That was one part. And the second part is that I'm a guy who tends to be impatient, so I wanted to have the fastest results with so much love and care that you actually give to your clients. And I wanted more than just being in the group, because I felt, hey, I'm a fastly implementing things, and so I want your personal, your professional help, your one-on-one time, because I knew if I have that, I feel safe, and I can always come back to you if I have questions, if I'm not sure. And I was just like feeling, okay, this is the right path for me to go quick. Because when you told me, hey, we can set up that structure, we can set up that business of yours within 3 to 6 months to create that freedom lifestyle. I was like, okay, bring it on, whatever it costs. I want this to happen. And I knew, because I've known you for a while, I could trust you 100% that I actually achieved this, the combination of you and Seb together, that would be magic. And it was the case.
And what was it, if it was with me, you felt that I could give you that organization, more than organization, it's really the business model of how do I liberate myself? Like, you know, how does it look? What was it in Seb that you felt that this is what I can see that I can extract from him or I can get from him?
Yeah. For you, it was like the geeky automations, funnels, and all of this. I knew this is great. And with Seb, I felt a very big connection, because in many ways we are the same character type. So I knew that he was feeling my pain and that he found solutions for himself. And what I loved about working with Seb is that, you know, if you have success, it doesn't mean shit if you're not fulfilled and if you don't enjoy the moment and find that inner peace. And Seb has this magic ability to figure out where you need to look at in yourself, in your inner world, and to re-spark that joy and your natural being. That was always for me, Seb. And I think my, like, the brain part of me was like, oh, I need to work with Daria because she has all that systems and she sets me free for, you know, in a business kind of way. But when I was working with Seb, after each session, I was like, that was a complete game changer for the rest of my life. I need to keep this in mind for the rest of my life, what I just experienced. For example, freeing myself of that pressure of always having to accomplish a certain amount of revenue, because that in a way also bottled me up. It limited myself. And to be fine with the really highs, but also the lows, because that's part of the entrepreneurial journey, freed the inner part of me. And yes, so yeah, Seb was the magic counterpart.
Oh, absolutely. Which kind of leads me naturally to my next question. I'm very curious. What is it that makes us unique, in your opinion? Because you've known us for quite a long time, more than 2 years, we're working together in different containers and one-on-one and groups. But what is it that you felt that you were called for someone to know if our energy and our uniqueness is something that feels good for them?
Well, both of you give the complete authentic home for entrepreneurs to grow. It's like you are the real deal. You mean it, and that's very refreshing when you see all those scams and that, you know, you see like Seb and Daria are in it for the long run, and that's always been an amazing feeling. But of course, the magic part of you is that, which not many other coaches bring to the table, is that the two of you are in a way also completely different, right? It's like you can profit from that crazy, geeky, wonderful part of yours that can build funnels and automate and structure things. And you're like, wow, I need this, because I'm more maybe on the other side of creativity, but sometimes I'm lost in space. And on the other hand, you have someone like Seb, who's basically more similar to myself. And when you join those forces, that makes it unique. And that's something that you don't really find. That's, for me, the USP that you are delivering. And combined with your energy, your trust in your clients and your experiences, that's just been the reason why I decided to invest also that big amount of money, because I knew it would be worth it.
Wow. Yes. Thank you so much. I do see that we are a bit of a yin and yang, and sometimes I'm in the yang and Seb is in the yin, and sometimes I'm in the yin and he's in the yang, and it's always that combination of our duality that I've been hearing over and over again, that gives that something that's very hard to find, because if you're working with only one coach, you only get one. Like if they go all in, they have that one uniqueness. But if you have two people who are full, you literally have two coaches with two different things that they give to you, that the global perspective as well.
Yes.
So you don't get stuck. What I will maybe think about it when you were saying that is that you don't get stuck in also overcoached, because if you're having only one coach, you'd think that that's the only direction to go. Whereas if you have two, you actually have two point of views that will help you to actually decide, what do I want in all of this?
It's so true, because that's often the problem. When I was working with many business coaches, and sometimes people don't get you. They say you have to go this approach, but they have a certain personality type that's just not you. So and you're wondering, why doesn't it work for me? But the two of you, especially in the VIP sessions, of course, you know, like, okay, what kind of character type is our client? How can we help him the best? And you understand, because you have those two different personality types, and you of course interact, and therefore you understand the other part as well. And so that's so magic about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Personality type addressing, that's something we've been implementing more and more with human design, even in our group coaching, just to really understand the personality, and that we are not all meant to do things the same way, and we are not all the same. Just, you cannot just give like, here's a step-by-step framework, now you apply that, and then someone's feeling just completely off and not happy and not fulfilled, which is the opposite of what we want to create here. So so I would love you to explain your feeling of being in our world, because you run a successful business, you have your own team, you have a beautiful social life as well outside your work, and you're doing a lot of things, so you have a full life. How does the VIP coaching kind of fit in it? If you talk about your experience of almost like, okay, how do we integrate with you? How do we integrate with you and your life, so it actually fuels you, and now doesn't feel like, oh, actually it's super overwhelming because now I'm adding all these things to do to my list. So how did that feel for you during the experience?
No, for me it was quite the opposite, because you help setting priorities as well, and of course you need to make space for the calls that you are having. But that's basically the fundamental work you need to do, and it's not overwhelming because, well, it depends on what you're offering. But you don't have a call every 3 days, but basically you have the calls that are necessary. You concentrate on them, and that's it. But it's not too much. I mean, if that fits in your schedule perfectly fine, especially if you're working on setting priorities, then suddenly you have actually more space when you work with you. That's something that I experienced. And of course there's very subtle support that's very powerful, i.e. You can write WhatsApp messages, or you can collaborate on G Drive. So it's not that you always have to find the time for a one-on-one call, but rather that you are flexible and that you are reacting fast. So that made it very, very easy to work with you. And I appreciate it, of course, like the WhatsApp support. When you have a question, you can ask. That's something that I loved. And but no, it's I have a very busy schedule, and it helped me to clear it instead of making it more and more.
Amazing. And you mentioned the WhatsApp support, and some people love being in the WhatsApp, and that's where, even sometimes you need less sessions, because you just have to like, okay, I have this coming up, I just need a small feedback on this specific thing, and then you can move forward. And then maybe you don't even need the call that week, but the following week you need a bit more help, and then you can go much deeper and actually do a session 1 hour or 2 hours if you need. And that what you mentioned is that we're playing with the space.
Yes, and in the end, I think every client wants a result. I don't need the one-on-one coaching all the time. If that does not lead fastest, like for me, it's a result that's important, and the combination is what it makes beautiful. But I don't need 20 one-on-one coaching sessions. If we can make it in 5, that's even better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned results. So tell me, what were the results after 6 months working together? If you talk about more tangible results first, like what did you see that actually happened in the 6 months that you can say like, check, this is done?
Yeah. So maybe we can talk, there's different parts. Of course, everybody is interested in revenue. For me, I think on average we not every month, but we doubled the revenue. I mean, I had months where I was gaining 25K, so max, like next level revenue, that's for sure. But even more important, because I think this is something that comes over time, the revenue. For me, it was fast, but it doesn't need to be like this all the time. The second part is time, due to like new automations, setting up onboarding systems, setting up smart webinars where you can automate your sales, but also throughout the customer journey with your clients. With the help of yours, I set up systems that freed myself, where I didn't have to do the onboarding calls, where I didn't have to do the sales calls, but rather automate it and thus win time with something which I was like, maybe I do it later. No, okay, now it's time. You have to do it in order to free yourself. And there's other parts, of course, something that I was always having respect for, but which is a huge bottleneck, is setting up step by step also a team. Doesn't matter if you have personal assistants or even full-time employees, whatever floats your boat or where you are in that stage, but understanding what you need to outsource and where you are really good is in your zone of genius and where not, and what you need to outsource. So that was something what I set up also, like finding a cool team that I can that helps me to become the best version of myself as well.
Wonderful. Yes, and team is something I always hear. So many entrepreneurs are like, I don't manage to crack that code, because they try to hire someone and it became so overwhelming because there were no systems for onboarding. There were no systems. So like, who do I hire? For what reason? Who do I start with? So, I mean, for you having a team, I know for myself, when I got my team, it just changed my business, because I could be even more my zone of genius, and then you could do even more what you love.
Yes, and people are scared because they don't have the systems often, and that's what you supply as well. Giving the hand and selling how do I set up the system of having a team, because that did not come natural to me, and that really helped myself, like setting this up for success. Otherwise, you will always be the one person solopreneur who will get stuck. It's always the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk a bit about the inner work, because sometimes, we talk about all the things, all the like numbers and time and systems and team, which I find is very important. But as you mentioned earlier, if you are feeling that something is off or something is not completely aligned for some reason, then we are still missing the point of why we're doing it. So what has happened in the inner world, in the inner leadership for yourself, in your inner power, in the 6 months you work together with us?
Yeah, one magic. Well, there's so much, really. One magic word that comes to my mind is trust. Is that inner peace of knowing that you succeed and that you are already succeeding. So basically, I'm just with much more ease, joy, and playfulness when I wake up, when I have challenging moments. I know that it will be fine. And especially Seb, helped me to be aware of when I am stressed, of when I'm not that person that I want to be, and basically setting up trainings that help me to bring the joy now. Like in that very moment right now, I can basically switch on my happiness radar, my something that makes me light inside of myself. And that's just one part, like how can you activate that energy, that inner peace. But also the second part, which I really loved, is very specific, is I told you already, is dealing with financial struggle, because I think every entrepreneur knows this, looking at the revenue, or sometimes putting yourself on, like putting pressure on yourself, but freeing yourself of that financial pressure and and basically letting go, not being a slave of the numbers.
Yes.
And opening up, and that makes you open up for new success.
Yes.
And that's something that I really learned from Seb. And again, it's the base for success, the inner success. Because
Yeah.
so many people who are so successful from the outer world, they have millions on their bank accounts, but they don't feel fulfilled, and they don't let themselves play and enjoy the fruits of their success.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what Seb and you taught me, 100%.
Amazing. And yes, it's a big belief that we have that it's not how much money you have in your bank account, it's how you feel about what you're doing. It's about how you are, even when you're making your 20K or 50K, or if you're making millions. I met people making millions, they're still stressed and they're still worrying that they're not going to have enough, the stuff is going to, Bitcoin will crash, or there's something else. And then it's not the outer world, it's the inner world. And if you manage to switch that, if you know how to switch on that feeling of, I'm safe and it's going to be okay and it's for the long term and I'll get where I want to get, and it's all part of the journey of being an entrepreneur, your whole perspective changes on anything you do.
Yeah.
It's not only about, oh, this small thing happened. Well, that's fine, because in the end, I will succeed. In the end, it's going to work out. It's all
if
good.
you have that trust, that patience.
Yes, that trust. Absolutely.
And also the willingness to let go, trust the process and let go, not always being in 100% control. That makes life a lot easier.
Oh yes. It's the balance between the yin and the yang. The yang goes out, and it goes out and takes the action and the doer, and then the yin leans back and trusts that the work that has been, the fruit will come from that. And then you go out again, and it's this beautiful balance we have, both men and women we have in us. And yeah, absolutely. I just have one last question, because I've enjoyed this so much, David. It's just so wonderful to talk with you about this. For the ones who are listening or watching this and they're reflecting, like, I would like to work with Daria and Seb on the VIP coaching, is there anything that you would what will help them to make this reflection? What will help them to make this decision? Is there something that you did, or how did you reflect on that when you decided to join? Did you speak with someone, or did you ask yourself your questions, or like how can they know if this is a good fit for them? When you can never know, but how did you do it, and what would be an advice for you for them to decide according to what they want to do?
Well, there's when I look back at my decision, well, first of all, of course, it helps to follow your gut feeling. And I think your gut, your heart knows the right answer. But there has to be, like for me, it was one point. You may not be with such an investment 100% safe. But then there is that moment that an entrepreneur has of saying, fuck it. It's like, you know what? Fuck it. I just do it because it feels right. And you need to have those kind of, especially with VIP investments, it's fine to have sweaty palms and sweaty hands and be like, okay, this is stretching myself. But in the moment, and also when I look back at my investments, that's what I did also over the last couple of years. Always when I invested in myself and stretched myself even further, it came back. The money always came back. And that's something that I remembered when I made that decision. And it was exactly the same that time. I invested and I knew, okay, but the money, it will come back. And that's something that I reminded myself of. And then there was that moment again of, fuck it. I do it now. It's just like something some time you have to be bold. And that's something that I told myself. And of course, it helped to have very transparent conversations with you and feeling home with you. So I knew it will be the right decision.
Wow, yes. And like you mentioned, investment in yourself is basically, if you see it as a long-term investment, you see like anything I invest in myself with the people where I feel the gut that, I'm supported, it will come back, because I'm stepping up. I believe in myself. I trust that, the knowledge, the experience, just seeing how they are doing it, just having that feeling of there are people supporting me for 6 months. In any moment I need to check in or anything's coming up, they're with me. And you're living in the container for 6 months, of course, then things start to happen. There's just like, it's almost like magical between what you are experiencing, what Seb is adding and what I'm adding. It just like becomes this container that almost spirals up by itself, because there's so many elements of like, we are all in it together somehow. It's almost like we are 3 people, rocket ship, going into the space, and you don't know when it's going to take off, but it will for sure. So
that's true.
Wow. Yes. Well, David, thank you so much for taking the time. I truly appreciate you being here with me and talking about your experience and sharing so openly what it felt like, because I know that this is the best way for people who are thinking about joining us to actually understand a bit what's behind the scenes, how does it actually look like, how does it actually feel, so they can tune in and feel if this is the right fit for them. So thank you, David, and I'm gonna see you very soon. Thank you.
Yes,
Bye.
Bye-bye.